Okay. Hello everyone, this is Shivangi. Today we have with us Anuj, who is doing PhD from Emory University, Atlanta, US. Hello Anuj,
Hi Shivangi.
how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Okay, so can you please give a brief introduction of yours? Where are you from, and how is your PhD going?
Hi, my name is Anuj Sah, uh, and I'm from many places, as I usually say to people. This is because I grew up in Hisar, Haryana, but my parents migrated from Bihar to Hisar. So yeah, I usually associate with both the places. And I have done my bachelor's from Delhi, precisely Delhi University, and my master's from JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University, both in history. The bachelor's was in history honors, and the master's in modern Indian history. And after that, I am currently pursuing my PhD in Emory University, Atlanta. The name of my department is Islamic Civilization Studies. However, it's an interdisciplinary department which combines uh, methods from history, religious studies, uh, and other disciplines. And my area of study or focus of research is early modern South Asia, the Mughal time period, and the themes I cover are issues of gender and sexuality. And in that, if in a very hyper-focused manner, queer sexualities.
Okay, who is your supervisor?
My supervisor is Professor Scott Fugel, the
Okay.
primary supervisor.
How is the PhD is going?
So the PhD is going fine. It's usually a 5-year program, but uh, it takes up like 6 years when you wrap it up.
Hmm.
So in my department, which is the Islamic Civilization Studies, the coursework is generally for 2.5 years. So the PhD is very intensive and with, as you can see, half of the time is occupied by the coursework. Um, and then, yeah, so currently I'm in my last semester of coursework, so it's definitely very intensive, but at the same time, many opportunities to learn and many different courses to take, even from outside your specialization. Uh, there are many languages that are offered. So, yeah, it is challenging, and that's why it's sort of also rewarding.
Okay, so when did you started actively applying for PhD program abroad?
So, as I said, I completed my master's from JNU. So, while I was in the last year of my master's, I had this thought, but it was not a very concrete thought. However, after my master's finished in 2021, I immediately after that I joined PhD at JNU itself,
Hmm.
um, and that gave me sort of some background in how to start a PhD. At the same time, gave me some financial stability because of the junior research fellowship. And it was in my first year of PhD at JNU that I actually took up this task in a full-fledged manner. And yeah, so I would locate it in that time period, 2022.
Okay, so can you please explain us what is the semester system in US universities? Like there is two semesters, I guess, and they take admission both of them, something like that.
Okay, okay. So the semesters here are have different names. So they're usually called fall semester and spring semester. There's also a summer, but that's not exactly a semester because most of the times it's a break. Yeah, so fall, spring, and summer. So fall and spring are sort of on-campus semesters, and summer is like then you're usually on a break, but you have something to do. It's not entirely sort of a break. Um, and I think, as far as I know, in the US context, in the humanities stream or social sciences, more
Hmm.
broadly, the admissions are usually in the fall cycle.
Okay.
So I have not heard of people applying in the spring cycle. However, I
Hmm.
think for the sciences program, this might be different.
Okay. When is the right time to contact professor? Can you please first briefly explain what is the process for applying abroad?
Okay, so the process, if told simply, is it's not very different from that of applying in India. It's pretty much the same. However, it involves some background work to do. So just like in India, you go to a university's website and you fill up their forms. However, the international universities applications have more requirements. So therefore, it takes you more time to fill those forms. Um, so talking about the requirements of these universities, uh, it should be a good match to you first. It should be a good match to your requirements in terms of what you're trying to do, your topic, your theme, whether the place has um, professors who can sort of supervise your work, then whether it has the right amount of funding if you're looking forward to support your studies by funding, because most of the Indian students cannot generally pay from their own pockets. So you need to sort of shortlist the universities first of all based on these some criterion um like what is a sort of a perfect fit for you or a near perfect fit for you. So first you shortlist those universities, then you can straight away apply. But since unlike Indian universities, the academic environment there is very different. People would not know you beforehand. So for that reason, you might have to sort of, you know, talk to those teachers so that you are sort of acquainted with them. They are acquainted with your project. You can apply even without talking to them. However, since you're already investing so much of money, time, and effort, so it's usually better to sort of, you know, have apply in a much more concrete manner by talking to them beforehand. So if you get a nod of assent from them, it's well and good. So you talk to these people and you sort of, if they agree to work with you, then you shortlist those universities. Then the forms will open usually from August to December. So you usually have a time period of 3 months. However, one can also start talking to professors to find their compatibility even before August. Some people might start even as early as June or July, like in my case, because I was a bit anxious, so I needed to start early. Um, yeah, so once you get that done, once you have finalized which universities, then you will look at their requirements, other requirements, which will mostly have like a language requirement. So you might have to give a TOEFL exam or an IELTS exam. Then in certain departments, you might have a GRE. Although in most of the departments do not expect you to give a GRE exam, but some still do. For example, like my own
Hmm.
department.
Hmm.
And usually those departments which draw students from, many other streams, irrespective of sciences or humanities or social sciences, they might have a GRE requirement so that there is some level playing field for everybody. So, but usually, like in 90% of the cases, they don't ask for GRE. So you have to give a language qualifying exam, which can sometimes be waived if you tell them that. your language of instruction has been English, which can sometimes be waived, but you need to contact them beforehand. Then a GRE, which is usually not required. Then you need a good SOP, which is a statement of purpose, and which is usually a 1,000 to 1,200 words long document in which you need to, in a very precise manner, outline your research themes and questions, your basic background training for what you are proposing to do, uh, your basic educational qualifications, your linguistic trainings if they are needed for the project, basic research questions, the sources that you'll be relying on, the nature of the sources, why the university is a good fit for you, with which professor do you want to work, um, what do you expect to get from working in that university, and what do you expect to give back to the university. So these are some of the major themes along which you have to design your SOP. So as I said, it's a very small document, so it has to be very precise. Each word has to be carefully sort of selected. So, and that it's also the most important document in your application. So after that, you need a writing sample, which you can upload from any previously written sample, any good paper that you may have written before, you can upload that. Then you need three LORs, letter of recommendations, and so you need to also tell the teachers you'll be asking LOR beforehand. So you should at least
Mhm.
uh, approach, let's say, four or five teachers so that you have a backup in case at the last moment one of them is not able to give you an LOR or there is some other emergency. So there should be sufficient time. You should inform them sufficiently beforehand, and then uh, for a backup, keep four or five options. Um, yeah, so I think these are pretty much all the requirements. There might be an optional diversity statement. Um, so which is more of a personal statement. It's like how sort of the universities how you will deal with the university's diversity, how well sort of can you adjust to it, or how well different diverse populations at campus, like how do you how will you navigate your way through it, like in a day-to-day manner. You can also tell about uh, you can also discuss a bit of your own life if you like to, but as I said, it's an optional thing. Uh, so I think those are pretty much all the requirements. And as you would see, unlike the Indian universities form, it's not something you can do in 2 days. So you need like 3 4 months to get all this done.
Okay, how
Mm.
much time does it take from the date of applying to start of the course? Like, if you're applying this year, when will your first semester start?
So, as we discussed, the intakes for social sciences programs are mostly in the fall semesters, and uh, so which usually begins from August, late late July to August. And if you are applying this fall, uh, then the whole time period for application and then the declaration of results, then the administrative works and all will take up at least 1 year. And then your first semester will start in next fall. So you
Oh,
can, if you apply this fall, you can expect to join from next.
okay. Um, what number of publications are required, and is it required or not having publications
I
when
think
applying?
okay. I think strictly speaking, it's not required. However, if you have them, it only makes your profile stronger. Yeah, but strictly speaking, it's not required. At the same time, the publication does not necessarily have to be uh, sort of a well-reputed journal or something like that. Even if you have written some short pieces which have got published here and there, or let's say some opinion piece, I mean, you can also include those in your CV. Um, so the impact may not be huge, but nonetheless, it shows that you have written something. And at this point, I just completely skipped my mind that another thing you need to upload is your CV, along with the previous requirements.
Okay. 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 So, what we see is that when if one is applying or planning to apply, and they are mailing professors, so when to know that they are really, interested in your work, or they want to work with you? Because sometimes professors give very confusing replies, like we will see your application and something like that. So,
Y-
how to know that if they are really interested in you and they want you to apply?
Uh, yeah, so a lot of it is also your instinct, whether the reply seems welcoming or the professor seems confused about you.
Hmm.
Um, in case the compatibility with your project and expertise and linguistic abilities, etc., like it aligns very well with the professor, and if they have a seat with them, if they are active in the next academic year, then they would usually give a very unequivocal kind of a reply. They'd be very clear about it. They might show some excitement. They might ask you to talk to them on a Zoom call, etc. They might also keep you posted and updated. So that is one sign that they are interested in that. The very language of the reply would tell you. However, if the professor um is not sure about their own plans, uh, like how many students are going to be admitted this year, or uh, or so many people email to them, so they might also have to choose from many prospective projects which of them aligns better to their expertise and interests. So those could be some reasons they might be uh, sort of equivocal there. Uh, However, some of them also uh, tell you to have a follow up with them in the coming months. Um, so uh, if it's conducive for them, then they might sort of give you a green flag then. But if they are not replying, if they are sort of procrastinating, then it's very clear that they're either not interested, or yeah, or there are other factors at work, because in the academic world, a lot of factors are also at work. So it's not just the interest of the professor, it's also about within the department what equations are uh, among colleagues, or how many students one is supposed to take, or there are many other factors at work. Uh, so, yeah, it's a good question, but at the same time, it does not have a very specific answer, I feel. Um, so yeah, my first thing would be to say is to sort of trust your instinct with that. Um, yeah.
Okay. So, one has to give
Also,
eyes. Yeah.
yeah. So also, sometimes the teachers they also discuss a project amongst themselves. So um, yeah, they might suggest you some other person. If they are sort of really supportive of your project, they might suggest you some other person. Uh, or since, as people say, that academia is a small world, so uh, let's say people have friends in other departments, in other universities, and the same person might be, talking to many different people. So they might uh, they might think that the other person is a better fit for them, or so they might even discuss among themselves that.
Hmm.
Um, so all these factors, I think, influence their response.
Okay,
Sorry, yeah.
when is the right time to give IELTS or TOEFL? Before application or after confirmation? Like
After confirmation from the teachers.
from the yeah, from the professor or from the university.
So the university, you don't talk to the university beforehand.
Hmm.
You can only talk to the professors, and that's also somewhat, it's more like in a personal capacity and not in a official capacity that they are talking. Um, so if you are intent on applying, then you can give it any time. I think its results are valid for 2 years. So whenever you think you are prepared enough, you can go for it. At the same time, since you can book that exam like almost, let's say, a week ahead or 2 days ahead of the test, so I think it's not the timing for that exam is not a big issue. So let's say anywhere from June to July to up till, let's say, November is a good time to give the exam because the forms close in December or sometimes in January. So I think
How
July.
does the waiver work? Like who do we have to contact for a waiver in TOEFL or IELTS?
Hmm. So the departments that you are planning to apply, they have an administrator. All the departments have an administrator with who you will have all your correspondence. So you will have to write to the administrator about your waiver request, and if if it complies with their policies, then they might accept that.
Okay, so you told us that there is an GRE requirement. So one has to give TOEFL or IELTS and as well as GRE or anyone in them would work.
So TOEFL slash IELTS is a language requirement, and GRE is more like a basic aptitude in language, mathematics, comprehension skills requirement. So the two requirements are different. Uh, and So you're only required to give one out of TOEFL or GRE. Some universities accept TOEFL, some accept GRE. My guess is that American universities are more inclined towards TOEFL, and I think IELTS is more for European universities. Um, so that is the English language requirement basically. And GRE is a requirement in terms of basic knowledge of uh, language, mathematics, problem solving, comprehension, reading skills. So the two requirements are different. And while TOEFL or IELTS is almost a mandatory requirement, GRE is not. So it's only in very select departments that they might ask for a GRE. And as I said, their reasoning is that a lot of people apply to those departments and they are not necessarily from social sciences. So they need to have a level playing field for everybody. So yeah, that's the
What is
reasoning.
the total cost for applying, including TOEFL, etc.?
Okay, so the total cost in Indian currency would be like uh, it also depends on how many places you apply to. So it's like one application would usually cost you somewhere around 5,000 to 10,000 rupees. the more well reputed an institution is, the higher its application cost will be. So for the UCs, the University of California, which are at many places, their
Hmm.
admission fees, their application fee are usually like somewhere around 10 to 11,000. Uh, Others are somewhat lesser, like 7 or 8,000 or so.
Hmm.
Uh, so it also depends on how many places you apply to. Most people usually limit their university choices to 4 or 5 universities, seeing the costs involved.
Hmm.
So if we keep 7,000 as an average for one, then 7 5 ja 35 if one
Hmm.
is applying to 5 places. So application cost will be 35,000, 35 to 40,000 uh, on an average for 5 universities. Then TOEFL or IELTS will cost you around 14 to 15,000.
It's right now it's 17 to 18,000.
Okay, so yeah, the costs also increase. Then GRE will cost you around the same if you are giving GRE. Uh, Then if you get selected at a university, then you need to apply for a visa.
Hmm.
So the visa costs will for the US it will cost you around 40,000 at least. That's what it was in my time when I
Hmm.
applied. Uh, right now, I believe the cost has increased. So if you add all this up, then 35 plus
It's almost
55,
1 lakh
67, yeah,
80,000 rupees. Yeah.
it's almost 1 lakh. And then it is going to exceed 1 lakh, I feel, because there'll also be other costs which are not included, which are like smaller
Hmm.
costs, like you will have to sort of like your transportation costs for going from places to and fro, going to the embassy, coming back, and then so many photocopies involved. The transcripts you will get from the university, you might have to pay for that. Then you might have to send the transcript, the physical copy of transcript to your target university. So
Hmm.
the post will cost you money. So there are many invisible costs also involved. So let's say on an average 1 lakh 10,000, like a very basic amount.
Okay,
Mm.
after you have got a confirmation letter, like you are going to be admitted in this university, what is the cost after that? Like, how much will it take? Because you have to be transported to like go there and do they provide scholarship before for that,
Okay,
or one has to
so
be very prepared for it.
oh yeah. So that is another cost that we did not discuss. So yeah, that takes it close to, let's say, 170 or 180 or even 2 lakhs, I would say. Uh, so after you get a confirmation, then obviously you have to apply for a transcript. Then you have to mail that transcript, a physical copy.
Hmm.
You can also ask the university to send an official email, but in any case, they will charge you for emailing, or even sending a physical copy will incur you cost. So those are the costs. Then you will apply for a visa, that's a cost. Then you will book your flight tickets, that's a cost. And since you will be booking the flight ticket in a very busy month, which is the fall cycle, so the costs will obviously be very high.
Okay. Uh, how to book the stay and all, and that is also going to be
Yeah, so you will have to book your flights, and since you are booking it very close to your departure date, and then it's a very busy one, so the costs will be high. Then it will
Hmm.
usually cost you, let's say, around a lakh of rupees, or sometimes even more, or slightly more.
Hmm.
Um, it will be under 1 lakh if you take more layovers. It's like if you take a layover, if you take a direct flight, it's going to be like over a lakh of rupees, like 120 or 130. If you take a one layover, it might be close to 1 lakh. If you take two layovers, it might be like 80 or 90,000. So yeah. So after the application is selected, you have the cost of transcripts and visa and the ticket. Then also the accommodation. Yeah, you will also have to book an accommodation to. So when you land there, you can go to that place. Then when you book the accommodation, you will have to pay the security deposit. So security deposit and 1 month's rent. So that is also an expense. So the university, uh, in half the cases, they do not give a relocation fee.
Okay.
Uh, in some cases, they might give a relocation fee, which is usually half of the monthly stipend amount. So if one is getting, let's say, $3,000 for a month as a stipend, then they might give you $1,500 for a relocation, but it's not assured. And in some places, they do not give a relocation uh, amount. So in those cases, people have to borrow or rely on their family savings, things like that. So yeah, even when the application is accepted, there are further costs to that. And I think if we add all this up, then the amount can easily go to up to like 2.5 to 3 lakhs if all of this is added up. Um and if the relocation cost is given, then obviously some of it is covered up. Let's say the flight cost is covered up, or yeah, but that's very contingent. That's very sort of not guaranteed. Um, yeah, and the relocation is also given mostly when you go to that place. Like when you have landed, when you are in the institution, they usually do not give it to you before your departure. So that's another thing.
So you will have to save up and have some amount before so that you can
Yeah,
plan everything.
yeah. So before applying, I think you need to have some good savings. Let's say you should at least have 2 lakh rupees with you to apply.
Mhm. What is the average monthly stipend for US universities?
So the average monthly stipend is so the admission letter that they give us, it's usually the annual amount they tell us. And also in official correspondence, it's always the annual amount that is talked about. So
Mhm.
if I were to tell in annual terms, it will be like 36,000 to 40,000 per year. And on an average, which comes monthly to, let's say, $3,000. Uh, at this point, even $3,000 is slightly on the higher end.
Mhm.
A lot of universities, especially state universities, their pay is between 1,800 to $2,500. So if I were to tell an average amount between the higher and the lower end, it will be like $2,500 per month. After your taxes, they obviously also deduct taxes from stipend because it's considered an income.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Um, yeah. In bigger cities, I mean, uh, the stipend might be towards the higher end. In smaller cities, like it might be towards the lower end because the cost of living is lesser in smaller cities.
Okay. Is it enough for the subsistence? Like, is it enough for you there? How much
Uh,
how much can you save after all the
So
cost of.
I think all of it also depends person to person and one's expenditure habits and saving habits.
Hmm.
Um, so I think your tuition costs are covered uh, in the scholarship that you get, so you don't have to usually worry about that. With the stipend, you have to mostly look after your monthly expenses, which includes your rent and utilities and groceries and other things you might want to do, or maybe send home or save a little. So you mostly have to worry about those things. Um I think one can get their things done in the amount that is currently there. However, one may not be able to live in a very luxurious or very extravagant way because the US economy, I mean, US is an expensive country, so obviously you cannot live in a very extravagant manner. So that is there. If you cut down on your extra expenses, if, let's say if you don't go out to have, if you don't go to a lot of restaurants, if you're not going to watch movies a lot, you're not going to um, not going for a lot of recreations outside, etc., then you can save more. So I think I have seen people even if they, let's say, spend with an open hand, they might be able to save somewhere around $500 from that if your stipend is like $3,000. But for those who want to be more careful with their income, they can save, let's say, around 800 to $1,000 if they are very economical in their expenditure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
So now, just uh, tell me how is the life in US and how much time it takes to adjust? How is the environment? How are the people? And what is the cultural shift for an Indian student?
Yeah, those are many questions, I think, combined into one. Uh, so life in the US, I think it's more nuanced than what we are usually told in, let's say, through the popular media or through the social media. So it's usually more nuanced. Um, it takes some time to adjust in the US. For me, it personally took like close to 2 years to sort of adjust to this to a different country. That is because everything will be different when you go. Like you might speak the same language, but the accent will be different. So sometimes it takes people to get acquainted with the accent of the English that's spoken within the US and which also differ like across US because it's a huge country. So that then you will have to get adjusted to newer technologies. Then um, let's say a more impersonal mode of operating everywhere. Even if you go shopping, I mean, it's a much more impersonal experience than it is in India, where there are hawkers all around. There are people flocking to you to buy this, buy that. I mean, but here, like, it's a very solitary experience. You just go something buy and most self checkout. So you don't get to you know. Um, meet a lot of people in every walk of life. Um, so I think the cultural shock is there to some extent because for Indian students, like India is a very populated country, so you keep on um encountering people wherever you turn. So you're adjusted to a lot of crowded situations and crowding and those things. But here, since the population is like way lesser than it is in India, so you don't. Um, you won't get to meet a lot of people or see a lot of people. So that is one. Um, then obviously you come from a different culture, so it's not that you can usually connect to them in the first meet. So that's also not the case. And then what I've noticed that it's usually that people are very individualistic in Western societies, especially in the US. So you cannot just strike a small talk with anybody walking on the road because people would want to know what's your purpose of talking to them. So you mostly talk to people when you have some purpose with them, to random people, basically. You can't just go out of your way to talk and then expect that it can turn into a friendship. So that's not how it works out here. So building friendships take time and consistency here. It's not very random or very sort of spontaneous, as in our societies. Um, so yeah, those are some of the culture shocks. In terms of adjusting to, let's say, a different linguistic accent over time, then adjusted to the number of people you see around you. Then you may not encounter a lot of animals because in India you encounter a lot of stray animals. I mean, so there's a different kind of human-animal relationship in India, which is not the case here because you don't have stray animals. So you may not uh, see any animals, and you might yearn to see an animal for so many days. So that um, I think the most productive place in terms of socialization and cultural exposure is, of course, your university. So I think that is where most of the meetings and most of the socializations take place within the department to some extent, and then the uh, the cultural and extracurricular societies that are there and the events that they organize. So those are the primary means of meeting new people and socializing or having a chance to build a community. Outside of that, I think it's a very, very personal, very, very individual existence in the society. And not to say that as a as an immigrant, I mean, it has some of its own challenges, uh, especially when you are, let's say, not white. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. How is the university life? Is it as vibrant as JNU, or it is more? It's better.
It's not vibrant. It's not vibrant as JNU. JNU or other universities like you, or let's say the central universities in India in general, have a much more vibrant cultural and political life, especially the political part. But here, you don't have a lot of student politics, and things are pretty much very streamlined, and most of the things work according to, let's say, a very capitalist logic. So, I mean, those are some very basic bare facts. So, there are student unions, but then they don't work. Their method and strategy of working is not. It's pretty much not
I think
like in JNU.
it's more academic.
Yeah, I mean they might have online meetings or they might have meetings, but it's not those are not street politics that you go in the campus, you take a walk, you chant slogans. At least not till it becomes a big issue. Uh, so the politics is pretty much like undercover. It's almost non-existent, I would say. Almost, not entirely, unless it becomes a big issue like there were recent protests in American universities over political issues uh, around the world, in the Middle East and
Yeah.
all. So otherwise, it's usually a very quiet place in the campus. In the department, people usually attend their classes, interact with teachers and the colleagues or cohort mates. So it's pretty much that once in a while there might be cultural events, so one can go there. One can join some society, um, like a yoga society, or let's say some sports activities, um, or any religious society. Like most of the places will have religious communities, like for all the major
Mm-hmm.
religions. So for people who are religious, they can join those societies. Then there are societies based on identities in many places, like Black Students Club or LGBT Students Club, or let's say Asian students, Latino students. So uh, these might differ across universities, but yeah, these are some spaces that are there. Uh, so while it's definitely not as vibrant or as exuberant as it is in JNU, but still there are avenues of cultural or social exposure.
I think the climatic conditions are also very different there.
So the climatic conditions will depend on where the university is located. So if you're talking about the US, I mean it's a huge country, and it's like
Yeah.
way many times larger than India is. So obviously it has a lot of climatic variations across its length and breadth. So while the northern part is like bitter cold, um,
Hmm.
snowy and frozen and icy in the winters. The southern part is like warm and temperate and sunny. Then the southwestern part also has desert areas. So I think uh, these climatic conditions differ across across the region. But having said that, it might be safe to say that it's usually more temperate than India.
Okay. So now the final question: is it better doing it abroad, like doing PhD abroad, or is it better to do it in India? What's better?
Um, I think the answer to this question might depend on, like, it might differ for people varying on their goals, on their short-term or long-term goals. So definitely there is no one answer to that, but uh, for people who uh, and also, like, sometime back in the Indian academia, it was a foreign degree was valued, but I'm not sure if that is the case any longer. So uh, if that is the reason, then I don't think that there is much difference. But if somebody, let's say, is sort of adventurous by spirit, or wants to is inclined to, explore a different culture, a different society, sort of experience that, I think then those people, it might be good for those people um, to move abroad, yeah, and get more socio-cultural exposure of the world. Then that is one way to look at it for those having that goal. Then the other thing is that if one wants a more streamlined and a more consistent and a more, uh, let's say, more focused and more organized kind of work, then I think abroad, foreign universities are better because, from what my experience has been in Indian universities, at least at the PhD level, is that it's not very organized, and um, supervisors are not very particular about the students. Meetings are not very frequent, they are infrequent meetings. A lot of professors don't have their office hours, or they don't turn up for, uh, they're not available to meet students. Um, then also the linguistic training sometimes might not be very rigorous. uh, and it might be more like a formality than like an actual training. Um, so if one is looking even through that angle, um, then I think abroad provides better resources in terms of time, effort, and let's say consistency. Yeah, so that would be my 2 cents on that. Like a cultural, social exposure, if one is looking for that, and if one is looking for a more focused environment to work. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. One more question to add. Is
Mm.
the PhD loneliness epidemic is real? Is it real?
So is it also in India or like
Like everywhere.
oh yeah.
Every
So I
oh,
think yeah.
about
So
US.
I think in a very generic sense, it is also true for the US. Perhaps it might be even more so, stereotypically speaking.
Hmm.
Uh, while I've heard that this thing in Indian academia, also because I also did 1 year of PhD there, but it might be sort of uh, uh, accentuated more in the US because of all the things that we discussed, the cultural
Hmm.
differences, the time taken to adjust, um, all the let's say variations here, all the challenges, at least in the initial phases. So that
Hmm.
might sort of only accentuate it more.
Hmm.
Uh, but I think, as with other things, it's also a bit contingent because some people might be more fortunate that they end up making friends earlier. They might be more fortunate in having good and supportive colleagues or supervisors. They might find some community of people. So, yeah, it also depends. But overall, yes, it's a very individualistic society, and it's a very individualistic life as well. Uh, there is loneliness, and I think that's a much larger problem in general
Hmm.
in Western societies, in the US and elsewhere. Maybe not in India. And PhD students are then become a part of that larger larger issue. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Anu, that's all. Thank you so much for being with us. And any suggestions you want to give to students who are going to apply abroad this year or the next year?
Thank you for having me and for all the questions. It also gave me a chance to go down my memory lane and sort of recall my time here, especially the first 2 years, and also the application process time. Um, if I have to give any suggestion, it would be that there would be two things maybe I would say is that first is to be realistic. So don't fall for the glamour of social media or popular media. Be more realistic in your assessment of studying abroad. So if it has a glamorous side, then it also has a more sobering side. So please be aware of that. Uh, and please be prepared for that, that if you will have very good days, and there might also be days which you might feel lonely or culturally alienated, or you might find yourself questioning your decision. So yeah, so please have a realistic assessment of that, that it has both a glamorous side and a non-glamorous side to it. And having said that, I would say that just like other things, It's not, this state of affairs is also not permanent. If you find yourself intimidated that, oh, it might be very challenging, it's not for me, and you might be thinking that you're not pursuing your dream. Let's say some people have a dream, so, dream of going abroad and studying there, because it
Hmm.
sounds too challenging, then I think you should also push yourself a bit, uh, and with the right time and with the right effort and sort of consistency, you will be able to sort of adjust yourself, and then you will be able to do things with relative ease. So first, be realistic, and then second, if you think this you want to walk this path, then have faith in yourself, and then eventually it will work out. The challenges will ease, and it will be worth it over time.
So I think even if one starts today, like in September, they have enough time till December to apply,
Yeah, yeah, they
to
do.
contact professor and apply. Okay, so whoever is wishing to apply should go ahead and
Yeah,
contact professors and all.
yeah. Should hurry up a bit, I guess, because one should usually get all these things done by August, is my suggestion. But
Hmm.
if you have not been able to do it by now, then maybe uh, one needs to hurry up and be clear by mid-October, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so now tell our viewers to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. It's history, but
Uh, please like, share, and subscribe History Buzz channel.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank